I showed you how to live a healthier, happier, and longer life. An evidence-based model, all natural, no drugs, supplements, or exotic procedures. Regardless of your age, man or woman, an approach that will not only reduce your risk of disease, but strengthen your relationships with the most important people in your life. Now, a path to health and happiness that's right in front of you. My friends, I'm here to give voice to the emotional force within us that has the power to overcome the challenges of behavior change and healthy living. It's a message grown from the life experience of this 70-year-old man that continues to motivate me today to live healthy. Getting up at 4 a.m., exercising 6 to 7 days a week, following a Mediterranean diet, and loving every minute of my routine for what it brings to my life, especially the energy to compete with my younger colleagues as a full-time healthcare executive. Now, to those of you who cringe at any talk of diet and exercise, I hear you. But my message goes so much deeper. It's as much about building bonds with the people that you love. Yes, my personal discovery has implications for all of you, and maybe, just maybe, represents the linchpin to a cultural shift whose time has come. Consider the paradox of American health. In a purportedly health-conscious culture, why are upwards of 70% of Americans either obese or overweight? How can it be, with so many diet and exercise choices and fitness centers, that less than 5% of Americans lead a healthy lifestyle? And with unquestionably the world's best medicine and spending more by far than any other industrialized country, why is the health of Americans merely middle of the pack? What does this mean? Well, without change, some serious consequences. Look at where we're headed. Despite having a longer lifespan in this country, in America, there's a growing gap between our lifespan and our health span. That's the number of years we live healthy, able to enjoy that longer lifespan. Scientists are seeing increased evidence of more cancer among younger people. Chronic disease like heart disease and obesity are on the rise. And in a study recently published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, we found that the health of children has deteriorated over the past 17 years. Why? Chronic disease and obesity. My friends, this is the state of American health. I think it means three things. One, it's not the money or the medicine. As I said, we have the best medicine in the world and spend lavishly on it. Number two, the consequences are very personal. Despite gaining more years of life, we're fixed with chronic disease, restricted activity, higher medical costs, and burdens placed on loved ones. And number three, we need a new approach. Let me share a personal story that explains what I'm talking about here. When I was entering my senior year in college, my stress level was on the rise like never before. As I was trying to figure out and put together my life plan, I learned that my parents were getting divorced after 20 years and 5 children. Yes, I was stressed. I began jogging around my apartment complex. Now, this was no Forrest Gump cross-country marathon. I didn't grow a beard, no. It was a much more modest approach to my stress, but it sent me on my journey. You see, running cleared my head. It made me feel good, and it set me on a pathway that would change the rest of my life. As a full-fledged adult, I found myself turning to exercise and then diet to cope with whatever life threw my way. And at the top of that list, single parenthood. You see, in my 30s, I became a single dad with my 2 sons living under my roof, a 7th grader and a 2nd grader. My life, my daily activities became filled with putting dinner on the table, packing lunches, doing the laundry, getting the kids to medical appointments. Yes, it was a challenge, but the well-being of those boys was an incredible motivator. My healthy behavior helped me get through the days. It looked at what I was happening and got me through there, and made me feel good when I felt really bad. When I entered my 50s and the boys went on to lives of their own, my journey entered another phase. Those healthy behaviors had become ingrained in my life. I found rhythm. My days were anchored with morning workouts. I watched my diet. I made sure to take care of myself. I got an annual physical and generally took care of myself. And what was so amazing was that the longer I stayed with those practices, the better I felt. Yes, I had transitioned. What started as a coping mechanism had become a passion. But it was my entry into the healthcare industry that really triggered my advocacy. You see, I was stunned when I looked at my own life experience and was able to compare that to others my age. And for that matter, people across the country. Not only was I shocked at the poor state of American health, but I was so stunned by the reasons behind it. One of the most significant factors behind the poor health of Americans is what? It's our own behavior. Sedentary lifestyle, neglect of healthcare, deferred healthcare and medicine, right? Little in the way of exercise and little in the way of good dietary practices. That's what's behind the state of Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, despite having the ability to impact our lives in a positive way, our health in a positive way, quite simply, we don't. In his new book, Superagers, noted physician and author Dr. Eric Topol documents the research he's done on 1,400 individuals aged 85 and older. He called them the welderly. Topol wanted to see if their good health was due to good genes. Now, while Topol didn't find any significant factors in their genes to account for their physical well-being, he did find other differences. The welderly were thinner, exercised more, were more optimistic, and had more robust social lives than their counterparts. This caused him to say that nothing surpasses regular exercise for promotion of healthy aging. Topol called exercise the most effective medical intervention that we know. Now, while Topol's research was new, it built on a well-developed body of science documenting the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. Those being longevity, reduced risk of disease, and positive impact on our cognitive skills. Some of the leading institutions in this country that recommend diet and exercise among their preventative measures for people of all ages are the Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic. Which brings us back to the question at hand. How can we as individuals and as a nation as a whole reverse those alarming statistics? And ladies and gentlemen, that's where we pivot to a new approach. One based in the social sciences, psychiatry, psychology, sociology, right? Because these are the disciplines behind the science of behavioral change. And our ability as a nation and individuals to adopt and sustain healthy behaviors, a huge struggle for Americans and a point that is so incredibly overlooked in today's contemporary culture, which is dominated by what? Quick fixes, exercise fads, and the diet of the day. My mission is to bring that message to you. Now, how does this new approach work? It starts with building motivation by incorporating our physical activities, our dietary programs, our healthy behaviors with our social goals, the ones that are ultra emotional. Why? The social sciences tell us that our emotions can influence our behavior, giving us the willpower, the determination, and the drive to lead a healthy lifestyle. And what's incredibly important to me and interesting to me is that while it's so overlooked and doesn't get enough attention, the science behind our emotional force is not new. Check this out. Since 1938, the Harvard study on adult development, this is their director, has conducted a longitudinal study initially of men and then later included women. The research wanted to uncover the secrets behind health and happiness. What has 80 years of research told us? Our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships have a powerful influence on our health. In the 1970s, psychologists Richard Ryan and Ed Deci developed what they call self-determination theory, right? And they highlighted the strength of intrinsic motivation, or what internal motivation, and the alignment of broader life goals with health behavior change. Based on that and inspired by that research, in 2016, I commissioned a study, a survey of 1,000 men 50 and older who were pre-screened as leading a healthy lifestyle. I wanted to see what motivated these guys to live healthy. What I learned was that their primary source of motivation, the reason behind it, their lifestyles, was their social and emotional relationships, largely their spouse or significant other. Yes, they got their inspiration because they saw healthy behaviors as a means to an end, right? Their diet and exercise to them was a means to an end. That end game being their social and emotional relationships and the strengthening and the deepening of those emotional relationships. The best thing that we can do is build from those studies, right? Here's one of my 50-plus men. His name is Tim. Tim finds motivation in walking on a regular basis with his wife of 40 years, right? A lot of fulfillment there. They walk around their neighborhood, have great conversations, and what particularly is of interest to Tim are the comments he gets from the neighbors as they see him and his wife walk hand in hand through the neighborhood. You can imagine the sweet comments that he gets. What Tim told me was that there's nothing like it never gets old. And just to show you that this motivational model applies to all demographics, here's Lisa. Lisa is the mother of two, 14 and 12 years old. She gets her inspiration from those children and sets a great pace as a mother. So how can you put this to work, this motivational thing to work? You can build your own platform. And let me give you 3 pillars to build that platform, right? Because what we find is that this motivational model is the missing piece in today's health paradox. So number 1, define your end game. Before you buy the gym membership, before you pick a diet, think about some more basic considerations. For just a minute, go beyond the number of pounds that you want to lose and think about what's most important in your life. What are your priorities? Share those thoughts with others in your life, your loved ones, right? Really give it some thought. Do you want to dance at your child or grandchild's wedding? Do you want to get more energy? Do you want to have better sleep? Do you want to improve your sex life? Whatever your aspirations are, number 1 is identifying the specifics and the details so that you can measure your success and know how you're doing. Number 2, create your social sustainability plan, right? What are you going to do to keep the fires of social connection burning? Is it a weekly date with your spouse? Is it travel plans? You get what I'm saying. Daily, weekly, monthly, and annual social activities are the lifeblood of sustaining those healthy behaviors. Anticipation for those events is an incredible motivator. And pillar number 3 is leverage your success. Pump your progress into more motivation. When you internalize your habits, routines, and rituals, your days won't feel right without some form of physical activity, right? You'll feel uncomfortable if you go off your dietary practices for any length of time. And when you reach that point, you'll know that you've reached the top of the mountain of healthy behavior and lifestyle reform. And when you get there, you'll have what we call functional fitness, right? The ability to achieve your aspirations, to meet those goals that you identify, right? It's a great feeling. I've been there, and it's where you want to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I found motivation in the eyes of my 2 sons. And I continue to get that motivation as they are now adults. And that motivation is now extended through my grandson and my grandchild, and I've got one more grandson on the way. No matter where you get your source of motivation, you too can find it, no matter your source, right? And maybe, just maybe, as a nation, if we can do what the sociologists call social contagion, if we can reach this point of where we have what they call a social virus, and healthy behaviors spread across the country through this motivational message, then maybe, just maybe, we can close that lifespan, health span gap that we talked about before. My friends, the fuel to energize your emotional force is right in front of you in the eyes of the people that you love and the aspirations that you've identified for yourselves, right? It's the missing piece to the life of health and happiness. Our emotional force is part of what it means to be human. And with your help and with your participation, maybe, just maybe, we can make this an idea worth sharing across the country. Thank you.